Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. My name is Brandon DaCosta and I'm a music photographer based out of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I thought I'd make a quick video just talking about my editing, pretty much how I do it. Just released my first preset pack on my website, so if you haven't already, go check those out and maybe use them to follow along with this video. All right, so let's get started and jump right into Lightroom. All right, so for the first photo, this photo was taken in Toronto. It's of an artist called Duckworth. I believe that's how you say his name. It's my first hip hop show ever. I was on assignment for the label. This photo, it shows so much, shows the energy. I love the way that the water or beer, or whatever it is. Oh no, it was beer, because I remember this was the first day that I used my Sony. Someone decided to do that and drenched my new Sony all in beer. Pretty sure there's still some beer on the camera. But yeah, anyways, love the light setup he had here. He had this LED box and then two LEDs on the side, tons of haze. Production was insane. But yeah, let's get right into editing. So this is my first preset pack right here. We're gonna use the C1. Right away, you can tell a lot of the presets in this pack have a lot of contrast. Oh, that looks kind of cool. But we're going to use C1. So right off the bat, it looks pretty amazing. This is the way that I edit my photos. Love the contrast, love just the whole vibe. So the first thing I'm gonna do, love the way that the saturation is. I'm gonna bump up the vibrance just a little bit. Love the colors already, but I am going to move the temperature just slightly down, just so some blue and maybe even some magenta come out a little bit. We're gonna go down to the hue. Let's take the magenta saturation and bring that down. Let's take the purple, bring that down. I edit a lot with oranges and teal. I just think that they look very nice to the eye. Complementary colors are always nice. Yeah, so we're going to go to the blues, the hue of the blue, and we're going to play with that a little bit. Don't really like purple, so like I said, I'm gonna stick more to the teal. And then scroll down to the detail sharpening. What I would recommend doing, don't just apply the amount of sharpening, but use the masking tool. So if you hit Alt on your keyboard, the black and white screen will come up, and everything in the white is what's sharpened, everything in the black is not. So by default, the masking is always at 0. If you apply it at 0, everything's gonna be sharpened pretty much. So you don't want that, especially if there's a lot of things happening in your photo, in the background, the foreground, etc. So what I would like to do is I always like to keep it between 60 and 80. Right there looks nice. Noise reduction, we're gonna bring that up a little bit. The contrast of the noise reduction, we're gonna bring that up a little bit as well, just because on the shadows here, you can see quite a bit of noise. Don't want too much of that. Grain, I'm gonna leave that just because there's already a bit too much. The calibration, I usually play with this a lot, but for this photo, I'm not really gonna do too much. Maybe just bring it more towards the oranges. And then for the blue, I'm going to bring it towards the teal a little bit. For the green, there's not really much green, so what it's gonna do is just mess with the reds. We're gonna go up to the blues again of the hue and bring that up. And then on the tone curve, we're gonna go to the top point and bring that down. So what it does, you can see, it just makes it have more like a hazy look, dreamy look, and I like that a lot. Last thing I'm gonna do is just bring the temperature down just slightly. And yeah, there we have it, the final photo. The next photo is of the same show. Like I said, this was my first hip hop show, so I didn't really know what to expect. He interacted very, very well with the crowd. There was a point where pretty much everybody in the room was jumping up and down, and I was just kind of in the crowd, just taking photos. It's a bit awkward, but still a fun time. There's a guy right here. His name is JP. He's a photographer as well. I always say, if you see a photographer at a show, go up to them, talk to them. 9 times out of 10, they're gonna be nice. They like the same things as you, so it's good. It's always good to network. You never really know who you're shooting with and what kind of friendships you can bring, I guess. So for this photo, we're going to use C2. So a lot of these presets, I've been working on them for a while, and I made them so they work pretty much on almost every single photo. Obviously, you're gonna need to do some editing and changes, but most of the time it's gonna look not too bad. And in this case, it looks not too bad. We're gonna bring down the temperature a little bit. We're going to go to the tone curve, and yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, so the next photo, this is of a band called Boston Manor. I took this in Toronto, not really sure when, but I believe it was last year. For this photo, I'm going to use C3. I like to edit a lot with oranges. I find they catch your eye the most. Contrast and in oranges and blues is my favorite. So like I said earlier, a lot of the presets you can just kind of put on and they look pretty good from just that. This photo, I'm going to, similar to the last couple, keep it orange red. Boston Manor, their color is red. So when I sent them these photos, I'd say like 99% of them were red, if not black and white. But yeah. So this was taken on the balcony. Obviously, I don't have a monopod. Sorry, I do have a monopod, but I don't bring it to shows. I think unless you're on tour with the band, it's kind of pointless. Well, not really pointless, just, I don't know, maybe a bit overkill. I'm going to use the crop tool and crop it in a little bit because obviously you don't want a lot of this, like the negative space on the right side. You don't really need to see that. You know that it's a big room, obviously. I'm gonna crop it around like that. And yeah, I don't really want him right in the middle. Rule of thirds, it's a lot nicer with the rule of thirds. It's not just right in the middle and then it's pleasing to the eye. So another thing I'm gonna do this photo is use the radio filter. What this does is everything in the red is what's gonna be affected. If you hit O on the keyboard, the red will go away and you can see what you're doing. If you hit O again, it'll come back. Obviously I don't need it that big, so I'm gonna make it just like that. I'm gonna feather it just a little bit, other way. Hit O again, and then let's go to exposure. So everything on the outside is going to be edited. So what I want to do is bring that down, and then what I'm going to do is duplicate it, hit invert. So now everything in the middle is what's going to be affected. Let's bring the shadows up, the exposure up, clarity up, saturation up. Obviously he's the main subject of this photo, so I want to show that. I'm going to go down to the detail and once again, sharpening. Always sharpen all my photos. I do have a preset here, a sharpen preset. It'll automatically put it at around 70 and sharpen your photo. I do have a grain preset as well, a grain and a grain plus. The grain plus, what it does is add a bit more roughness and a bit more grain. So if I were to add the grain, you can see there, and if I were to add the grain plus, just a bit more. For this photo, I'm not going to do either, just because it was taken at 3200 ISO. So there's that photo. This is the same show as the Boston Manor show in Toronto. For this one, I'm gonna chuck a black and white preset on it. Right away, looks not too bad. Highlights are pretty blown out, so I'm gonna bring down the highlights. I'm gonna leave the contrast like that. Shadows, definitely gonna bring down. Blacks, definitely gonna bring down. Maybe bring the highlights back up a little bit. Exposure up a little bit. Yeah, a lot of the black and white photos that I do, kind of just playing around, nothing too crazy. I'm not gonna put any grain. I am going to use the level though, and sometimes Lightroom doesn't really do the best with that, so I'm just gonna go back and level it my way. And then yeah, that's pretty much how I would keep it. I'm gonna crop it in just a little bit just because we don't really need to see this guy and these other people. If you hit the lock button here, what it's gonna do is pretty much lock your crop. So if I have it unchecked and you bring it in from this side, only that side is gonna come in. But if you have it locked, it's going to keep it the same ratio. Again, rule of thirds, don't really wanna keep them in the middle. So bring them off to the side a little bit. All right, so I have a photo of Amber Bain from the band The Japanese House here. Love the simplicity of this photo, just straight on portrait kinda. For this one, I'm not gonna use too harsh of an edit just because I feel like you can't overdo it. So I'm going to use C5. That's a straight orange and teal preset that I made right off the bat. She is very, very orange. So I'm gonna bring it down a little bit. I'm gonna bring the exposure up, whites down, shadows down, leave the contrast like that. Vibrance I'm gonna bring up a little bit. Love it so far. She is very, very desaturated here. So what I'm gonna do is go to the HSL, go to the saturation, hit this little button here. This little button, what it'll do is it'll directly adjust the color that you selected. So let's say I'm on her sweater and I wanna adjust her sweater color, only her sweater color, I can do that. In this case, I'm not going to mess with that because that's not the main thing. So I'm going to use this right on the cheek there. That's where I find it's the most orange. I'm gonna bring that up. So the skin tones look pretty good there. Let's bring the orange up. Luminance. My cat is meowing a lot. And let's play with the hue a little bit. Let's see what kind of oranges we can get. If I go a bit too much over this side, it's gonna turn red. If I go a bit too much this side, it's gonna turn yellow. So I want it like right in the middle. Detail, again with the sharpening, let's use the sharpening preset. Noise reduction, I'm gonna leave it just because it was shot at 1600 ISO. Yeah, there wasn't really too many shadows or anything like that. Transform, let's level it. Didn't really do anything. Effects, we'll leave that by itself. And yeah, that's how I would edit that photo. All right, so next photo. This is of a band called Locket. They're from Toronto. I have had the pleasure of touring with them in the past. They're very, very nice guys. In this photo, we have Corey. Corey also makes YouTube videos.
What's up, nerds? My name's Corey Bergeron. You are watching Corey Bergeron Recordings, and we are back with a brand new video. And in this video, it's a new episode of Create More.
He's not only a musician, but he is a producer as well. So go check out his YouTube channel. I'll put the link in the description. I guess I can give him some credit because he was the one that told me to start doing this. I've been thinking about doing it for a while, and he was definitely the driving force. What I'm gonna do, hit C1. I'm gonna be honest, on their tour, they have these tungsten lights and these LED lights, and paired together, they make a very nice orange and blue. And as I said before, I love orange and blues, especially with the haze. It looks so nice. And this is definitely a preset that I would use on tour with them, just because it fits their vibe. But yeah, right away, pretty good. This photo is very, very hazy. So I'm gonna bring the dehaze and I'm going to go down to lens corrections, hit all that fun stuff, go to detail. Because it was shot at 4000 ISO, it is pretty noisy, but not like so noisy where like you don't know what's going on. Obviously, he's a guitar player. So let's bring the noise reduction up a little bit. Sharpening, let's add that. Sharpening preset again, and then let's go to HSL and let's mess with the blues a little bit. I don't really like how teal the drums look, so we're gonna make it a bit more blue. Let's go down to the calibration, back up to the HSL sliders, to the tone curve. Let's bring this down, and then back to dehazer. A lot of the editing that I do is trial and error, but obviously I know what I want, so I would say just practice what you like. All right, so next photo, this is of JJ, the drummer in Locket. Love the lights in this photo. He has a little video light in his drum kit. His drum kit is translucent blue, so it displays a lot of nice colors. This was him just kind of goofing off before the set with some glasses. But yeah, so let's add the C4 preset. It is very, very teal. Skin tones are kind of desaturated, so we're gonna bring that up a bit after. Let's mess with the blues a little bit. I love the deep blue that the drum kit is as well. All right, so in this case, I'm gonna use this little dot thing. Let's see what we can get from this. And then let's crop it vertically. You don't really need a lot of this negative space. So if you hit X on your keyboard, it's gonna go horizontal. If you hit X again, it's gonna go vertical. Just a little side note, if you upload vertically on Instagram and you hit 4:5, that's the exact crop of Instagram's vertical. So I use that a lot, but in this case, we're going to do horizontal, just like that, bring it in a little bit. Don't really need to see a lot of this stuff. Obviously, you know, it's a drum kit. Maybe that's a bit too close. That's what I would do for that photo. All right, guys, thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoyed and you also learned something from the video. Don't forget to check out my presets on my website. I'm also very new to this whole YouTube thing, so leave a comment, leave a like, leave a dislike if you didn't like it. Let me know on how I can improve and what videos I should upload next.